Don't love me. Please don't love me. I'm nowhere near good enough. Can you believe this guy? He's a freaking pilot. He's got abs you could grate cheese on. And he's pulling the woe is me card.
Well, Tecton. Madigan is an ex-military pilot, and the context, as you so eloquently omitted, is that he's grappling with deep-seated emotional trauma stemming from a dysfunctional family dynamic.
Trauma, schmama. He's living in a freaking cabin in the mountains. I'd trade my trauma for that view any day.
You would trade your trauma for a slightly used toaster oven, let's be honest.
Hey, that toaster oven made a mean bagel.
Welcome back to Heartbroken Radio, the only show that dares to ask the tough questions, like, can a man who claims he can't love really change? Or is he just a walking, talking red flag with a pilot's license? We're diving deep into Little Too Close, a book that's apparently so hot, it'll melt the snow off your Kindle.
Melt the snow off your Kindle? Is a bit hyperbolic, don't you think? And for the record, the book explores themes of grief, forgiveness, and the complexities of familial relationships, all set against the backdrop of a forced proximity romance.
Forced proximity. Sounds like my last family reunion. Except, with less passive, aggressive comments about my life choices and more. Helicopter rides.
You've clearly never read the book.
Details.
Let's talk about Weston Madigan. This guy, he's like a walking, talking Pinterest board for brooding masculinity. He's got the chiseled jawline, the haunted eyes, the emotional baggage of a 747.
He's a complex character, grappling with the legacy of his father's emotional unavailability and his own perceived inadequacies. He's essentially a product of his environment.
Environment? He grew up rich. I grew up sharing a bathroom with 3 siblings. That's an environment. He's just a commitment phobe who hides behind his I can't love mantra. It's like a dating app profile come to life, but with better scenery.
You're reducing a nuanced portrayal of trauma to a dating app cliché. Really.
And Callie, sweet, innocent Callie. She's like the human embodiment of a golden retriever puppy. So forgiving, so understanding. I bet she leaves the toilet seat down.
Callie is a strong, independent woman who has overcome significant adversity. She's a single mother, a talented photographer, and she's fiercely protective of her daughter, Sutton. To label her as merely forgiving is a gross oversimplification.
Okay, she's a saint. But seriously, she falls for a guy who tells her he can't love her. That's like dating a chef who says he can't cook. Red flag city. My ex used to say he couldn't commit. Turns out, he just couldn't commit to me.
Your personal anecdotes are hardly relevant to a critical analysis of the text.
Everything's relevant. And Sutton, that kid is a firecracker. She's like the only sane person in this whole messed up family drama. I bet she's the one writing the negative reviews online.
Sutton is a precocious preteen who provides much-needed comic relief and serves as a catalyst for Weston's emotional growth.
She's a future therapist, dream patient, is what she is.
Despite your colorful interpretations, A Little Too Close is a well-written, emotionally resonant novel that explores complex themes with sensitivity and depth. The forced proximity trope is expertly executed, and the slow burn romance is genuinely captivating.
Slow burn. It's slower than my internet connection in the mountains. I was waiting for the fireworks, and all I got was a damp sparkler.
The pacing allows for realistic development of the relationship between Weston and Callie. It's not about instant gratification. It's about the gradual dismantling of emotional barriers.
I read a review that said, Weston may have been a daredevil when it came to physical risk, but he moved with the emotional speed of a turtle. Accurate. Another one said, H can fellow heli-skiing, and he can fly it a hell of a lot better than Christian Grey? Now that's a comparison I can get behind.
Comparing it to 50 Shades of Grey is hardly a compliment. And let's not forget the utterly contrived third act breakup. It felt completely out of character for Callie and undermined the entire narrative arc.
See, even you admit it's flawed. I got an email here supposedly from a listener. It says, "This book made me want to move to a small mountain town and find my own emotionally unavailable pilot." Another one says, "I threw my Kindle across the room when they broke up. Then I picked it up and kept reading."
Those are clearly fabricated emails. And the breakup, while frustrating, is arguably a realistic portrayal of the challenges inherent in relationships where one partner is struggling with deep-seated emotional issues.
If Weston were a sandwich, he'd be a dry, overcooked chicken breast on stale bread. No mayo, no flavor, just disappointment.
That's an oddly specific analogy.
I'm hungry.
Despite my reservations about the third act conflict, I give Little Too Closey a solid 8 out of 10. It's a compelling read with well-developed characters and a satisfying emotional payoff.
I give it 5 out of 10 broken hearts. It had potential, but it left me feeling like I'd been emotionally catfished. And the helicopter scenes were overrated.
Our opinions, as always, are diametrically opposed.
That's why they pay us the big bucks.
Join us next week when we dissect The Duke's Disastrous Date, a historical romance about a time-traveling tax auditor who falls in love with a medieval blacksmith. It's going to be wild.
I have a feeling it will be. This is Heartbook Radio.